So here's the deal. I have no idea how it is that clerks are going to know who was in line by what time, because the rule is that if you're in line by 7, then you get to vote. And so once there was a court order saying you had until 9, I'm sure that there were people that joined the line after 7. They now are telling them that you have to separate the votes out. What this means is that we will not know what votes are to be tallied from Election Day out of Dallas County. For sure, we won't know that tonight. So knowing that Dallas County is a big dump of votes, we, in my opinion, will not know the election results overall tonight. We need to see the Dallas County votes to see where they are. I mean, if the early vote comes in, which we may have the early vote soon, if it comes in and I'm losing Dallas County, then we know kind of where this thing is going. So, so that's my news, is that we're not going to have election results tonight, in my opinion, based upon what specifically is taking place in Dallas County. Unfortunately, this is what Republicans like to do. And so they specifically targeted Dallas County, and I think we all know why. So I want you to enjoy yourselves, but I won't be back tonight because I have no idea of when we're going to get results, and I fully anticipate it won't be until tomorrow. So I love y'all too. Thank you so very much for being here.
All right, that's Congresswoman Crockett, and she's essentially saying she's not expecting to see final votes tonight, which is not a surprise to anybody who's been watching this with us over the last half hour or hour or so. Matt, takeaway from this? I mean, I don't remember precedent for this situation we're in right now.
I don't think there is a precedent for stopping the vote. I mean, we've had many times when you've had polls that are extended hours and more votes have been cast, but I've never seen a circumstance in which they then say it doesn't matter who was in line at 7 o'clock, whatever was cast after 7 o'clock doesn't count. Never seen that before. Again, whether you're a Tallarico fan or a Crockett fan, or whether you're, this is just wrong. This is vote suppression, and the fact that this is going to have to be settled in the court is just bad for democracy.
And Bud, getting back to the precedent on this, we've been waiting for an hour or so here to have some direction on where to go. And if you don't have Dallas County, it's not just the Senate race, but it's also likely the
congressional race.
Congressional District 33.
That's where this is going to make a big difference. First of all, James Tallarico looks like he's going to win, but Jasmine Crockett and her followers are going to be furious. And Nathan Johnson looks like he might be winning without a runoff, but we won't know. That looks like he's way ahead in that race, but where it's close and where it's going to make a difference is that Colin Allred, Julie Johnson congressional race. And if those votes, if we throw out the last 2 hours of those votes without knowing exactly which votes to throw out between 7:10 and 7:20, who's going to decide that? Is a judge going to sit there and say, okay, this was clocked in at 7:05, this person was in line, this was at 7:20, this person must not have been in line? I just don't understand how that's going to be carried out by the court.
Here's an example of what we've been waiting on. It's 9:18. Look at this, District 30, Congressional District 30, 1% reporting, 1% reporting. So that's how slow things are tonight, and how much Dallas County is holding things up. Let's go over to the big board with Jason Wheeler here as we wait on Senator Cornyn to come out and address reporters, and Colin Allred at the African American Museum in Dallas. He too is going to address reporters in a moment here, but you're starting to see some numbers come in.
Yeah, I've been
Dallas
shaking
County.
this touch screen. It's not the touch screen's fault. It's the data that's coming in. It's very slow from Dallas, but we do have a little bit of it now populating. So let's look at the Senate seat, the Senate race rather, on the Democratic side. first numbers we've seen from Dallas County tonight. Jasmine Crockett, not surprisingly, again, this is where she represents right now, with almost 61% of this vote dump that just came out. Total votes 192,000 or so of them coming out of Dallas County right now. The Associated Press estimates that that's about 61% of that estimated vote in the county there. So a good chunk of it, but not as much as we would like to see for sure. And Matt, where did you think she should be in Dallas County?
But at about 40, 60, she's where she needs to be for Dallas
Okay, so she's
County.
where she needs to be in Dallas County. Here's the frustrating part. As we go down through the other races, even though the Senate race has dropped from Dallas County, we're not seeing anything in the Attorney General race on the Democratic side or Comptroller, or certainly not down here when we get to District 30, which was Jasmine Crockett's district. We're not seeing anything in Dallas County on that one. And of course, the big one that we've been watching tonight as well, Congressional District 33 with Colin Allred and Julie Johnson. No results reported there yet. Although, maybe give it a couple of minutes here. This just popped in for the Senate race. I don't know if I've seen this before where you get one race of early vote dropped in a county and it takes a long time for the other races to fill in too. Usually it kind of all just arrives, or at least in waves and closer to each other.
Yeah, I'm kind of at a loss for words right now because I'm not sure kind of where this goes next. I mean, these campaigns have to continue on.
Yeah.
It's going to be played out in the courts, and everything else is still in limbo. These results are in limbo. No one's going to know for a while.
Plus, you heard too, and I always go back to the voter here. You heard the reaction there when Jasmine Crockett was just speaking to her supporters tonight, and she said, they're wanting those votes that happened from 7 to 9 to be pulled out. And that was the biggest reaction that she got from that crowd, where you just heard a lot of, oh, it was an Oz. And you wonder the effect that has on voters in this race. Do some people who wonder if their vote was actually counted, do they just go, I'm out of this process. Like I'm not even going to show up in November.
And Tiffany Liu was in North Dallas at a voting precinct there, talking to Mr. Vasquez, and he said that the polls closed there at 7 o'clock, despite what the court order said to stay open till 9. So it seems like this is all over the map, and it's clearly going to impact all of those blue races over there.
And we should point out, Dallas is getting all the attention. Dallas County is getting all the attention, but there was that other county as well, and that's Williamson County, where the two parties did not have the joint primaries, and we don't see any numbers out of Williamson County as well. That could be good territory for James Tallarico. It's just outside where he represents right now as a state representative in Travis County. So, Dallas has gotten all the negative attention tonight, but Williamson County hasn't released one thing yet. At least Dallas County is on the boards now with some early vote in the Senate race, but we've seen nothing from Williamson. And Williamson is a vote-rich county. That's something we need to know. And as Jasmine Crockett was just saying, she doesn't anticipate coming back out to her supporters tonight because she doesn't think we're going to really have much of a result by the end of tonight.
Let's go back to the zoom out on the Democratic race for Senate here.
Yeah, okay, Senate.
And while we're here, let's look at some of these valley counties, because we've been curious to see which way these valley counties would go.
I'm glad you brought that up too, because Jasmine Crockett ahead in this one valley county here.
Small county,
This is Kennedy County. If you've ever driven down to South Padre, that's the one where you're feeling like you're going to fall asleep by the time you get through it, because there's
no offense to our viewers in Kennedy County tonight.
No, I mean it's a lot of ranch land out there.
King Ranch.
And yes, the King Ranch. And so she has been pulling that county tonight. But look at all of these others. These are vote rich here. We're talking about Cameron County here. That's where you've got Brownsville and Harlingen. A lot of votes coming in there. Decidedly for James Tallarico at this point, that's 77% of the estimated vote there. Then we move on up to Hidalgo County. That's where we've got McAllen, which I argue still has some of the best tacos in Texas, if not the best.
Agree.
And James Tallarico doing very well there as well. 70% of the estimated vote coming in. Here's another biggie right here, Laredo, Webb County. He's pulling big numbers there with about 2/3 of the vote in. We still don't know what's happening though. For instance, here in Maverick County, where we've got Eagle Pass, we don't know what's happening here in Valverde County, where we've got Del Rio. So some vote-rich areas that we still don't have a lot of information on down there in the valley. But I will say this, if you've got just 1 second, and I've been meaning to bring this up through the evening here, This is what the Valley looked like way back in 2020. Look how blue it was, all these different counties here. Democrats had relied on the Valley over and over the years in different elections. Look what happened in 2024. So many of these went red for President Trump. And so Democrats, really, there was a lot of hand-wringing over that. But as we saw in early voting, Hidalgo County, look at that. Again, This is where we find McAllen. Look at that, just taking off there. Cameron County, where you've got Brownsville, taking off this time around. Webb County, where you've got Laredo, also taking off as the Republican vote flattened out in early voting.
And I would anticipate that the Tallarico campaign is perhaps motivated, maybe a little energized by these numbers we're seeing in the Valley and elsewhere across the state. Cole Sullivan is with the Tallarico campaign tonight. Cole, what's it like there?
Jason, the vibes have changed here significantly as it went from celebratory, looking at some of the results, to now just confused as they try to make sense of what's going on in Dallas County and what it might mean. I'm going to step out of the way so that you can see, because this is the other thing that has changed here. Not only are people trying to figure out what's going on, but also the campaign has changed the backdrop here, put up the big Texas flag, taken down some of the national cable networks that they were watching, almost as if we're going to see Tallarico come back out in just a few minutes and address his supporters, which I know is what we just saw Jasmine Crockett do just a few minutes ago. My colleague Natalie Haddad is there in Dallas at Crockett HQ. Natalie, talk to us about what the situation is like there.
Scene I expected to see or experience tonight. Representative Jasmine Crockett, we had not seen her throughout her entire watch party until just a few moments ago when she came out to address the crowd to say she will not be coming back after the Texas Supreme Court ruled that Dallas County election polls locations could not stay open until 9 p.m. and that votes cast after 7 p.m. could not be counted. Now, how that is going to work for clerks, how they are going to try and separate these votes is to be determined, but nonetheless, she tells the crowd, and the crowd quickly disperses afterward and begins even chanting outside about how they want a fair election, that she says she is not coming back because she does not predict that we will know the results until at least tomorrow. What comes next for her, also to be determined. She said that she would try and figure that out. She was happy to be, that Dallas County was successful in trying to get the polls open, but now that the Texas Supreme Court has ruled what it has, this is not a scene that I can say I expected to see or experience here at the watch party. People are beginning to go home. We did hear some chants a little while ago, people saying that they want Representative Crockett to win this election, they want her to win it fairly, and they want to see what these votes are. I've been saying it throughout our newscast and through our election coverage. It is going to be interesting to see how all of this confusion when it came to appropriate voting locations for voters is going to hurt this campaign because Dallas County is Jasmine Crockett's bread and butter. It is her territory. I'll send it over to you.
All right, Natalie, thanks so much for that. All right, let's hit the panel here one more time as we take a look at live ballot counting going on in our 4 biggest counties. This specific shot is a live picture from Dallas County Elections Office off 35 Stemmons Freeway as they are, we've all been waiting for them to crack open those boxes there and show us what's inside. So we will see how busy that room gets in the coming hours. Domingo, let's start with you and go around with what we've seen here before we take a break.
Well, you know, here in Dallas County, now that we got the early vote numbers, the big surprise is the district attorney's race, where John Creuzot is about 600 votes behind the challenger Amber Givens. And that's kind of a surprise. Everybody thought, since Creuzot's been a long time district attorney here in Dallas County, has pretty popular DA, exonerated a lot of innocent people, that he would not be in this close a race.
That is interesting indeed. Vinny, first take on this wild night, man.
Well, yeah, it's very zany. I mean, I think Tallarico, we can pretty much call it for Tallarico. I mean, I think.
How so?
I think he's doing well. He did well in early vote in Dallas, but I think reasonably well. Doing well in South Texas, running up the score where he needs to run up the score. I don't think she can catch him at this point. So now it's, what do the campaigns do? You know, how do they message this Dallas vote screw up? And we were pre-arguing the issue before. You know, is it, if you're a Crockett voter, do you feel totally disenfranchised that
right.
the system has screwed you yet again? Do you blame the Republicans or do you blame the Democrats?
But is it way too?
Or do you never come back?
Good point. It's still too early, though, I presume, for the Tallarico campaign to reach out to Crockett and say, listen, we're way ahead everywhere else. We're likely going to win this, right? They're not making that call yet, are they?
No, I don't think so. So that's going to delay that a little bit. But they'll all start the blame game. I mean, that can start right away.
Yeah, indeed so.
Jason,
Bud?
it's another golden gift to everybody's fall campaign. The
How so?
Republicans can say, oh, look, this is another blue county fouling up. You don't want your state to go blue or your county to go blue like Dallas did. Then the Democrats can say that the rights of the voters were taken away, the voters were prevented from making their decision. The Republican courts, the Republican senator's bill passed to punish Harris County, apparently, was set up to deny Democrats their rights. Everybody wins a little bit more campaign fodder.
Matt, take away
I'll
from
take
this.
our argument here. I mean, this is a Republican AG, Ken Paxton, went to a entirely Republican Supreme Court in order to get an order to stop thousands of votes in Dallas County from being counted that had already been cast. I mean, that is vote suppression in any way you measure it. And I think that James Tallarico will probably join Jasmine Crockett calling for those votes to be counted. And whether James holds on or whether Jasmine catches him, I think that this is something that's going to carry on to the fall as Democrats being able to talk about this is what happens when you've got a one-party, a Republican state that's been in control too long.
Alfredo?
I think obviously we can take away from the evening that Dallas County was a debacle. It was a circus. I agree with Vinny here that I do think that with the votes that are coming in from South Texas, it is a fair assumption that James Tallarico will be the nominee. And I do think that if I can make a prediction that President Trump will come out and will endorse John Cornyn now that the stronger Democratic candidate will be the eventual nominee.
You think so, Vinny?
I do. I do. Again, he's got 200 million reasons to do it.
Yeah.
So I think he comes out. I think he endorses Cornyn and goes on the road.
Wow. What a night tonight. We're going to take a brief break and be back in just a moment with more results.